Hello, beautiful people. I am Annette C. I just wanted to come on today. I was doing a little bit of Bible study and the other day, and I was reading about, I wanted to go back to read the story of Samson and Delilah. So I started in Judges chapter 13 because I just wanted to see for the beginning of Samson's life. And in Judges chapter 13, it talks about Samson's mother and father and how he came about. And the reason why I wanted to come on and talk about this chapter in particular, because it stuck with me. Originally, I was going to just talk about Samson and Delilah's story and how, Samson was with women and X, Y, and Z. But I just kept on thinking about the story of his mother and his father and when he was, how he was conceived and everything. And it just stuck with me, and it kind of related to me and what I'm going through, and maybe it could relate to you. So basically, Judges chapter 13, it basically talks about Samson's parents. His father, he was a certain man of Zorah named Manoah from the clan of the Danites, and he had a wife who was sterile and remained childless. The angel of the Lord, this is chapter 13, verse 3. The angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, "You are sterile and childless, but you are going to conceive and have a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine or other fermented drink, and that you do not eat anything unclean, because you will conceive and give birth to a son. No razor may be used on his head, because the boy is to be a Nazarite, set apart to God from birth, and he will begin the deliverance of Israel from the hands of the Philistines." So in the beginning, as you can see, the father, his name is Manoah, and the mom, did they say her name? No, they did not say her name, but they said that she was sterile and childless. So she was having issues having a child. And there's in the Bible, throughout the Bible, there's so many stories of women who were barren, sterile, could not have children, and the Lord sends an angel, or he makes it possible so that they have a child. And I just think that I just always think that that's amazing, and it kind of ties into the reason why I chose to talk about this chapter, because I feel like with all of that, I don't think it's a coincidence when any of these women in the Bible, like with the story of Hannah, she was having issues having a child. Who else? There's so many different women who were barren or sterile and could not have children, and the Lord comes to them and says, "Look, I'm gonna give you a child," and he actually gives them a child, no matter their age, no matter their health, nothing. He gives them a child. And so I think with all of that, it comes with your faith. Your faith has to be ignited. And let's kind of relate it to today, right? So we could say a child, maybe not just that, maybe you're having issues with coming up with ideas or something that you need to create. You want to create something and you're having issues creating it. You're having issues doing it. And sometimes it takes for the Lord to step in so that you can see that this was only possible because of him. Something that was impossible. Maybe someone told you that you couldn't do something, or maybe you didn't have the resources. Maybe you wanted to open up that business, but you didn't have the resources. You didn't have the credit. Maybe you wanted to go somewhere, but you felt like this was impossible. This is impossible. People keep on telling me it's impossible. The doctor's telling me it's impossible. My parents, my friends, people think I'm crazy. They're telling me that this is not going to work. But the Lord will tell you, "I'm going to do it for you," because it takes faith. That is when your faith ignites. And we know that because it shows us so many different examples in the Bible of how the Lord will do the impossible. He will make the impossible possible. Look at his mother. Look at Jesus' mother. we just finished celebrated Christmas, and Mary was a virgin. Mary was a virgin that ended up getting pregnant with baby Jesus and had him. That is something that people would say is impossible, but God made it possible. So, back to the chapter 13, they told Samson's mom that she was sterile and that she could not have kids, but the angel came to her and said, we are hold on, sorry. Yeah, you will conceive and give birth to a son. And basically, not only did they say you will conceive and give birth to a son, but he got to be clean. You can't eat, there's rules that you need to follow, because this is going to be a special boy. He can't do this. God is going to use him for, whatever he needs to use him for. And so here's what stood out to me. So we're still in Judges chapter 13. Now we're in verse 6. Then the woman went to her husband and told him, a man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God, very awesome. I didn't ask him where he came from, and he didn't tell me his name. But he said to me, you will conceive and give birth to a son. Now then, drink no wine or other fermented drink, and do not and do not eat anything unclean, because the boy will be a Nazarite of God from birth until the day of his death. So basically, she runs to her husband, because the angel of the Lord came to her and told her. He said, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is what you need to do, and X, Y, and Z. So she goes to her husband to tell him what just happened. The angel just came to me. So in the Bible, it says the angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, right? But so this is in verse 3, chapter 13, verse 3, it says the angel of the Lord appeared to her. And I'm reading from the NIV version. So I'm going to go to, this is the, I think this is the NLT. Yeah, this is the NLT. I'm going to read from the NLT and see what it says. Yes, so NLT chapter 13, verse 3, it says, the angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and said, even though you've been unable to have children, you will soon become pregnant and give birth to a son. So that's NLT, NIV. They both say in verse 3, the angel of the Lord appeared to her. I'm going to go to the King James Version. Just like I told you, I love to look at different versions just to kind of grasp, what exactly the verses is saying. So in the King James Version, chapter 13, verse 3, it also says, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman and said unto her, behold, now thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son, right? So the only reason why I keep on saying this in all of these chapters, in verse 3, it says, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman. Because if we go down to verse, if we go down to verse 6, this is when Samson's mother goes to the father, Manoah, and says, then the woman went to her husband and told him, a man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God, very awesome. So in verse 3, it says, the angel of the Lord appeared to her. But she goes to her husband and says, a man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God, very awesome. I didn't ask him where he came from, and he didn't tell me his name. So to me, if it's saying in the Bible that this was an angel of the Lord, why would she go to her husband and say, he looked like an angel, but I don't know. I didn't ask him his name. I didn't get the information. It sounded like she was a little doubtful, right? Like she's telling her husband, because if she believed that this was an angel of the Lord, she would have said, hey babe, an angel came to me. He said this, that, and the third. He told me that this is going to happen and blah, blah, blah. No, she went to him and said, oh, a man of God came to me and he didn't tell me his name, but he said to me, you will conceive. He looked like an angel of God. Very awesome. I didn't ask him where he came from and he didn't tell me his name. girl, you ain't need to add all of that. Because she didn't, to me, it sounded like she was doubtful. She didn't, it was because, like I said, this was something that was impossible. If they're telling her that you can't have kids, you're barren, you can't have kids, you're sterile, it's not going to happen. And then an angel comes to you and says, you won't have a kid. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And not only is it going to happen, but he's going to be used by the Lord to do something specific. So that means that he needs to live a certain type of lifestyle, and you need to live a certain type of lifestyle. So to me, I just believe that her faith wasn't fully ignited into this word that she just received. And rightfully so. Like I said, when you go through something to where it seems impossible, it seems like people are telling you that it's not possible, you keep on, you've been dealing with something for so long and nothing has changed, nothing has worked. It's natural that your faith will be tested. Your faith is not going to be strong. It's not going to be where it needs to be. And especially with something like this. And this is why sometimes it's better to not think with logic. And I'll give you an example. There are times, even for me, where lately my faith has been growing tremendously to where I usually have to give a disclaimer to people when I talk to them, because I'll tell them, like, look, my advice now is different than my advice before. And it's only because the Lord has been building my faith so much that now I believe that anything is possible. So if you come and you talk to me and you have doubts or you're putting limits on anything, I'm going to tell you, girl, or whatever, like it will happen. Anything that you tell me, I'm going to be like, it will happen. And granted, sometimes I struggle with my faith too. I have struggles too, but that's because logic starts to creep in. And the thing about the Lord is that you cannot allow logic to creep in when it comes to the Lord. Because if he can do the impossible, it's something that logic can't even grasp. It's something that it will not make sense. And that's when you know it's the Lord. So sometimes I will need to tell people, like, look, if you want to come to me, I'm at a point in my life where I think that anything is possible. So if you looking, and I'm going to encourage you to keep the faith, and I'm going to encourage you. And just like I said, I want the same thing for me, because there are times where my faith wavers, and I need that. I need to hear somebody tell me, Annette, it's possible. Don't allow logic to make you feel like this is not going to happen. Don't allow logic to make you feel like you're being delusional, or that you didn't hear what the Lord said he was going to do. Don't do that. So anyway, that's what I got from it. And I'm going to go to King James to see. So chapter 13, verse 6, and I'm reading from the King James Version. It says, then the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told me his name. But he said unto me, behold. Yeah, so basically King James, it also makes shows that I don't think that she had faith. Like, she wasn't sure about this person who came and told her. She said it was a man of God, but it starts to, as she's describing him, it's almost like she's trying to convince herself that this was an angel. Or maybe it was just too hard to believe that it was an angel that came to her and told her this. I don't know. But that's what I got from it. And so when she went to tell her husband this, her husband, right after she told her husband this, it says in verse 8, it says, Manoah prayed to the Lord, O Lord, I beg you, let the man of God you sent to us come again to teach us how to bring up the boy who was born. So for me, when I read that, I got from that, his wife came to him and said, look, a man of God came to me. I wasn't sure if he was an angel or not. He told me that I'm finally going to have a kid, that I need to eat right, I need to live right, and we got to raise him this way. The husband was like, okay. And right from then, he went and he prayed to the Lord and said, look, Lord, he was like, let the man that you brought to my wife come back. Let him come back to us and teach us how, to bring up our son. So basically, the man that you sent to my wife to speak to her, let him come back. Send him back. Send him back so we can speak to him, so he could tell us more. I felt like he was trying to get validation. He was trying to get validation from whoever it was, because maybe his faith wasn't solidified either. Like I said, this is something they were told, that she was barren and she could not have kids. And all of a sudden his wife comes to him and she's like, yeah, a man of God came to me. I wasn't sure who he was. I didn't get his name. I don't know if he was an angel or not, but he told me that we was going to have a kid. Very unsure, very unsure about her message, but very excited. And so I could see why her husband would be like, I don't know about that. Let me check in with the Lord to confirm this. And so he said, Lord, like whoever you send him again. Send him back so we could talk to him, so he can tell us more on how to raise our son. And it was like, kind of like, I'm not saying that I don't believe it, but I just need to make sure that this is from you. I need to make sure that this is correct, like this is accurate, and this, then a third. And that's what I got from it. That's what I got from it. And guess what? And guess what the Lord did? It says in verse 9, God heard Manoah, and the angel of God came again to the woman while she was out in the field, but the husband Manoah was not with her. So let me tell you something about the Lord, and let me tell you why this verse 9, chapter 13, verse 9 is very important. And this brings back to everything that I was saying of why I felt like Manoah and his wife, Samson's parents, were not that. Their faith was not, they still had unbelief. They still had unbelief. They wanted to believe it, but they still had this unbelief. To me, it goes back to, they didn't want to get their hopes up. They didn't want to get their hopes up. They was believing it. They wanted to believe it because they wanted it so badly, but they didn't want to get their hopes up. So they wanted to make sure. And it's almost like when you be like, God, give me a sign. Something that you've been praying to him for, and you're like, is this really it? Nah, I need a sign, Lord. Lord, you ask God, like, God, should I go here? Should I be with this person? And he tell you, no, you should not be with it. You should not be with him. Or yes, you should do it. And then you sit and you like, God, but I need a sign. You got to show me a sign, because you either it's something that you don't want to hear, or you just don't want to believe it. And the Lord is like, I'm telling you what it is. But here's the thing about the Lord, is that he's so faithful. He's so understanding that he knows that our faith wavers. He knows that when we have a desire and we get weary after a while of us believing for something, and something that we really want for a long time, he knows that sometimes the faith may not be there. The trust may not be there. You may be tired. You may be ready to give up on it. He knows that. And that's why he's so faithful that he will do and send you a sign. And to reignite that faith that you have. And this is what he did in verse 9. It says, Manoah went and prayed and was like, Lord, please send that guy again. The guy that you sent to my wife, send him again to us. He didn't say send it to her. He said, let the man of God sent to us come again to teach us. He said, me and my wife, send him to us, because he wanted to see. All he's getting is the secondhand information from his wife, who's not really too sure about stuff. So he wants to be sure. And so he prayed to the Lord and said, Lord, send him to us. Send this guy again that you sent to my wife, send him to us. And guess what God does? He heard him. He heard him. And guess what? He did. It said, God heard Manoah, and the angel of God came again to the woman while she was out in the field. But her husband, Manoah, was not with her. That wasn't a coincidence. and it wasn't by accident. I believe that God did that purposely because he wanted to reignite Manoah's faith and let him know, this is from me. You can trust this. This is from me. Because now Manoah really knows. I prayed to the Lord, because his wife didn't pray to the Lord and say, send him back again to us. He prayed to the Lord and said, can you send him back to us? And because God is who he is, he said, you know what? I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to let you know that it's from me. So because the prayer that you prayed, I'm going to send him back to your wife so she could come back and tell you that he came back. Because she's not thinking nothing of it. She's just like, oh my gosh, he came back to me. You know, in verse 10, the woman hurried to tell the husband, he's here, the man who appeared to me the other day. Manoah got up and followed his wife. When he came to the man, he said, are you the one who talked to my wife? I am, he said. So Manoah asked him, when your words are fulfilled. And so let me stop there. And that's verse 11. Manoah got up. So the angel went back to the wife. Manoah prayed and said, send this angel back to us. The Lord heard his prayer and sent the angel back to the wife who was out in the field by herself. That wasn't an accident. It was purposely so that Manoah could know God heard his prayer and this is from him. And so that his faith can be ignited. And let me tell you how his faith was reignited. So the wife came back and said, he's here. The guy who came originally to me to speak to me, he's here. He's out in here in the field. So Manoah goes with his wife to the field to see this man of God. And he says, are you the one who talked to my wife? And the guy said, the angel says, I am. And so right away, that was verse 11. Right away in verse 12, it says, so Manoah asked him, when your words are fulfilled, what is to be the rule for the boy's life and work? He didn't ask no more questions. Manoah didn't need no more questions to be asked. He was a believer. Because not only did the Lord hear him and send the guy back to his wife, but when he came, he said, are you the one who spoke to my wife? He said, I am. And he said, oh, this is real. This is really real. Like God is really doing this for us. So now I know that this is from the Lord and that this is really happening. I don't even need no more convincing. This was, and the Lord, I feel like the Lord knew this. He knew what he needed to do to convince and get that faith ignited back into Manoah and his wife. Because this was something that was impossible for them. This was something that they were probably dealing with for so long. So they were weary, they were tired, their faith wasn't ignited. They probably lost hope, lost faith. They were not in a great place. So they didn't want to get their hopes up. It was hard for them to believe. And the Lord knew exactly what to do to get that faith back. To where Manoah, he didn't even ask no questions anymore. He said, are you the one? The angel said, yeah, I am. He said, okay, let me know what we need to do once your word gets fulfilled. He didn't say, maybe it's going to happen. Now he knows that it's going to happen. He said, in verse 12, he said, when your words are fulfilled, he didn't say, I don't know if it's going to happen. Maybe it's going to happen. He said, no, it's going to happen. When your words are fulfilled. That's guaranteed. He knows it's guaranteed that it's going to happen. So when your words are fulfilled, what is to be the rule for the boy's life and work? So we don't even need no more talking. Just let us know what we need to do. Let me know where we need to go, what we need to do in order to for us to do our part. And this is what I loved. This is what I loved about it. And going down, the angel just repeated everything that he said. And just like to me, it further kind of reiterated that they just needed to be convinced that this was real, that this was true, that this was from the Lord, and that, and this is what I love about God. Like he He is so real because he knows, like, we're not perfect. Like, no one is walking around here with their faith on 100% every single day. Like, we go through stuff. We have doubts. We worry. We have anxiety. We are afraid. We have fear. Like, no one is walking around perfect 100%. And especially when you have a desire that you really, really want and you've had to wait, or you've had people tell you that it's impossible. You've had doctors tell you that it's impossible. You've had specialists, people who study, people with, degrees, or people that tell you that this will never happen. For an angel to come and tell you this is going to happen. And not only is it going to happen, but we need for you to do this. And we need for you to do that. Something that what you were told is impossible, the Lord said he will make possible. And it just was a reminder for me, because like I said, there are times where, because of my faith, and the Lord has been working on reigniting my faith, that sometimes I have to say to myself that I cannot allow logic or other people's opinions to get in my head. Some things I keep to myself because I don't need anyone to try and convince me otherwise. Because the Lord can do the impossible. He can do the impossible. And he will do it. He's a man of his word. And sometimes I know, like, even for me, like, I'll talk to the Lord. I'm like, God, like, this is a long time. This is a long time that I'm sitting here waiting for this blessing, or I'm waiting for this. And it's like, is this still going to happen? Like, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes I get weary. Sometimes I get burnt out. Sometimes I'm like ready to give up. But the Lord will send something, a sign. He'll send something, someone, a message or whatever. He'll send something to reignite my faith, to convince me that I am a man of my word. And if I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. There's nothing fake about me. There's nothing, I don't need to lie to you. I don't need to lead you on. I am who I am. I will do what I said I'm going to do, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now. So, this whole story of that, it just really encouraged me and let me know, like, look, God, he understands. You don't need to sit here and pretend and be like, oh, my faith is on high, and, I'm believing, and I know he's going to do it. I know he's going to work it out for me, and this, that, and third. He knows. He knows that you're weary. He knows that you're ready to give up. He knows that you have doubts. He knows. He knows that. And that is why when you pray to him, he will send it. He will send whatever it is that you need, the response, the answer, the person, whatever it is, to help you to know, I am with you. I hear you. Manoah, the father, he prayed and said, Lord, send that angel back. That man that went to my wife, send her back so we can speak to him. Send him back to us so we can speak to him. And not only did the Lord say, you know what? I'm going to send him back, but I'm going to send him back to his wife. So his wife could come to him and say, look, the angel, he's here again. He's here again. The guy that came and spoke to me, he's here again. And this way he knows the Lord hears me and he's with me and he knows. And this is from him. So I can be okay. And my faith is there. It almost reminds me of the blind man. Was it the blind man or deaf man who, was like to the Lord, I believe, but help me with my unbelief. Help me. I have the faith, but there's some part of me that just does not believe, or I'm still struggling to believe that it will happen, or I'm still struggling to keep the faith, or I'm still weary. Help me with that. Help me with my unbelief. And it's okay, and it's normal. And we have to get to a point to where we know God knows us. He knows us. We are his children. He knows us. He knows our hearts. He knows our minds. He knows the thoughts that go through our minds. He knows the feelings that we feel. So he knows when you're weary. He knows when you need that extra push. He knows when you need that extra encouragement. He knows when you are feeling afraid or you're ready to give up. He knows. And all it takes is for you to go to him in prayer and say, God, I need for you to show me. I need for you to give me, something. I need for you to come and talk to me. I need for you to send me something. And I know sometimes they say It's not good to ask the Lord for a sign, but you can ask him for strength. You can ask him for strength to hold on. You can ask him for clarity. You can ask him for different things to help you to keep moving forward. Whatever it is that you feel you need to say, you know what, Lord, I'm believing in you for something that seems impossible. My friends and my family are telling me that I'm crazy for sitting here waiting for you, that I should do this and I should do that I should take it upon myself, that I should go here and I should go there, and that I'm crazy for waiting. But I truly believe that this is from you, and I truly believe that you're going to do it and that it's not impossible. But I need your strength. I need your help. I need your encouragement. I need your word. I need your direction. I need your instruction on what I should do. And the Lord will hear you, and he will send whatever it is that you need. And this is the reason why I really, this chapter encouraged me, because it's something that I'm currently going through, to where I'm believing in the Lord for some things, and it's other people don't understand. But I know that the Lord can do the impossible. And I'm just waiting for him to send me the instruction, to send me the direction on what I need to do, to not only receive it, but also to maintain it. Because in the verse, the angel tells them, okay, we're going to give you what you desire, but you need to do this. You can't eat certain foods. You can't drink certain drinks. And your son can never shave his head off, because he's going to be used. So that's another part of it. When you're believing in the Lord for something, not only will he give you the confirmation that you need, but he'll also give you instruction on how to maintain whatever it is that he's placing into your life. He will give you the instructions. So go to the Lord, go to him. And if you're weary, if you're waiting for something, if you have any desires and you feel like it's taking too long and you're not sure, go to him. Before you get advice from your friends and your family or whoever, go to the Lord and pray to him and ask him, Lord, I need you to tell me what I need to do. I need you to send me confirmation. I need you to send me strength. Whatever it is that you're praying to him, pray to him and ask him, and he will answer you. He will send you what you need. He will. So I hope that encouraged you like it encouraged me. I think I'm going to do a second part to this where I go into the story of Samson and Delilah. But I really, it just really blessed me. This really blessed me, and it helped me in my current state. And so I want to encourage you to read Judges 13 when you get a chance. And I love you, and take care. Bye.